Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy. Another live stream. See, this is what happens when you're stuck inside because of the corona on a Friday night. So sad, so sad. So I figured I would take some time to make another live stream and talk about some other things. Of course, one of the things being why I left China, and to be honest, have no intention of returning. You know, I've had this question so much because I think probably because I left China so abruptly. I didn't really announce that I was leaving China to anyone. I kind of just left China in a hurry, right? Um, so of course I left China because of the coronavirus and things like that. But I'll get more into specifics, of course, as we go on. But in the beginning, the very first reason I think was, of course, because of the corona. I just left. I was going to be leaving within the next month at the time that I left China, but I moved it up a month earlier when the corona thing was going on. And I just left in such a hurry. And that's why I didn't really make a video or tell people that I had left China or was planning on leaving China or anything like that. And there's just been rumors or people like, oh well, he was kicked out of China or he, whatever, right? Or he I don't know, like there's been silly things. And no, of course I wasn't kicked out of China. I didn't jump over the border. I didn't do anything. I just left China, like a normal person over an airplane, right? Um and I really wanted to leave China for a long time. And that's just the truth. And again, like I've said in other videos, people have said, why did your view on China change so much? You were so happy before. And it's like, not necessarily, right? And so I want to talk about the distaste towards foreigners. And the first thing I want to talk about in that structure is when you first go to China, the first like year is pretty awesome, right? Because you're in that honeymoon phase, right? You first get there, you don't understand anything, you don't understand the places, you don't understand the people, you don't understand the things or the culture. And you're kind of just walking around and it's like everything is just glorious and you're like dee, 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 everything is awesome, I love my life. And you see some things and you're like, well, that's different, but we're in the honeymoon phase and you're so happy, right? And then you see some bad things and you're like, well, that was a little weird, but we're still happy. And then like after a while that starts to wear off before you're like, why am I seeing things like this? And it's like the first time you see some like woman hold a baby over a trash can or something, and then like the baby take a dump, you're just kind of like, what was that about? And then that honeymoon phase, like it starts to wear off, and the main thing about once the honeymoon phase starts to wear off is once you learn to speak the language, once you learn to talk to people, once you get to know people better, is you start learning that there's the number one point of this video, and that is that there's kind of some animosity, towards foreigners, right? Towards people that are not Chinese. And when I say not Chinese, I kind of mean not Han Chinese, right? And my thing was that, sometimes you're treated really well as a foreigner. You're treated better than even other Chinese people. It does happen, right? You'll get these special things where people are happy to see you, and that happens. But you learn for the most part that like in China, the general outline is that you're not Chinese, of course, and people see you as an outsider, and you're just not Chinese. Right. And you'll never be seen as Chinese, and you shouldn't want to be seen as a Chinese person anyways, right? Because you're just not. And it's that situation where it's kind of changed from being, oh, well, you're just an outsider to now, because of the political climate and things like that in China, it's become more negative, right? Well, I don't want to say it's become more negative. I just think that the negativity has been, it's been brought out more, right? It's been you get praised in China now for being, more nationalist. You get praised for speaking against foreigners more. And so those people have kind of definitely come out of the woodworks more. And the situation is that in China, there's a lot of those people. And, that's because China in particular, not really, because I've been, to many countries, and this is something that's really particular to China, is that nationalism is really pushed in China. So it's like when you go to places like, say, Indonesia, they're like, hello, thank you for coming. You're a guest in our wonderful country. And you go to Thailand, hello, you are a guest. We thank you. And then you go to China and they're like, oh, ni hao, lao wai. Hello, foreigner. Hello, outsider. And you're like, in the beginning, you're like, hey, because you don't know, right? And then this thing happens where you realize that there's distaste for you, because you're not Chinese. And this is not something to blame Chinese people for. It's kind of to blame the government for, because they've put this nationalism on Chinese people and told them that, Chinese are superior and that Chinese, should be treated in a superior manner, and that, everyone else just kind of doesn't matter. And that's to be honest, that's how the Chinese government treats everyone else anyways. Chinese government primarily, creates rules and things for Han people, right? They really don't even treat, Chinese people in China that are not Han. They don't even treat them very well, right? So you as a foreigner in China understand that, like, there's going to be animosity towards you, right? And that it becomes more and more obvious now as the political situation, gets worse. And that's why now, you're seeing restaurants and things that are blaming people based upon their nationality of, oh, Americans or Canadians must pay more or whatever, right? And even something that like Randy Flagg, and I don't know if anyone here knows who Randy Flagg is, but he is Black and Abroad in Asia, I think is what he's called right now. And he's been called Loser Lao Wai and these types of names for his channel. And he talks about, like, just recently, and I'm not going to talk about it in detail because that's his thing. It talks about how, like, a Chinese guy racially is saying, horrible things about like African people, right? And this is something that you really notice about China, is that many times, like, it really is based upon race. It really is based upon your nationality. They really do hold some kind of animosity against you based upon your nationality, based upon your race. And, obviously, quite obviously, I'm not African American, right? I'm a white guy. So to see that, and to see to the level and the extreme that you see of it in China towards even African people is quite it's quite shocking, because of course America is not perfect. I do believe that there are some issues with African Americans, and I'm not going to discuss that or downplay that or anything. But what you see in China really is like blatant racism. And it's really strange to see very blatant racism, because I always tell people the same thing. If in America you go into a Starbucks and you say some racial slur about a Chinese person, like people will stand up against you, right? But in China, it's not really the same way. If you if you said something, if a Chinese person said something racist towards you, and you were arguing with a Chinese person, and that Chinese person did wrong, it's very likely that they're going to stand up with the Chinese person against you, right? No one's going to defend you. So the main thing is just the animosity. I really wanted to leave China because I was getting sick of the animosity of hearing comments about other countries and other people. And it gets old. You know what I mean? It just really gets old when it's kind of an everyday ordeal or everyday situation, because you feel like you invest so much into a country only to be told that like you're an outsider, that you're not wanted. So I think that's probably the number one reason I would say that I really left China. Because anytime I went to other countries, they were so kind and so respectful. Like when I went to Japan, they were so kind and so respectful. And I'd go back to China, and I was back to being the outsider, right? So yeah, that was for me. It was kind of off-putting, and yeah. So I think number two, I would say, is visa issues. And I don't want to say that I've had visa issues, but everyone has visa issues. And what I mean is that constantly having to renew your visa all the time, or switching visas, or dealing with visas, or leaving the country and coming back and just doing all this stuff, and that knowing that your visa situation in China will never end, right? Like as a foreigner living in China, you will never have that situation realistically where you're like, oh, I never have to get another visa, unless you get the Chinese green card, of course, which is like just such a pain, and for most people is unrealistic, right? They'll never get it. And it's a situation where you work a job, and then they kind of got you by the cojones, right? They got you by the balls, because then they realize that they can treat you like garbage, because not only are you a foreigner in China anyways, so there's already like this plane of animosity against you, but they've got you by the balls, right? And so they know that like if you get fired, your job is connected to your visa, right? And there's a lot of countries where you get your visa and you can switch jobs, and it's based upon time, right? In China, your visa is connected to your job. So when your job fires you, or you quit because your job sucks, or whatever the circumstances may be, right? You have to redo your visa, right? And then you think, well, okay, I'll get married to a Chinese woman. And that doesn't help you, because what happens is you're now just a foreigner with a visa that you can't work on, right? And so it's like, great, I'm going to stay at home and put my thumb in my butt because I can't work. Like, what are you going to do? There's nothing that you can do. You're constantly stuck back in the visa situation. They force you to get a work visa again, and be forced back into the never-ending, Lao Wai hammer conundrum of being beaten down repeatedly from crappy jobs and whatever, right? So the visa situation in China is like never ending, and it's always been really crappy, but like it's gotten worse in recent years about how they want restrictions and things now. And I understand why they're placing restrictions on certain people. It's definitely understandable. You can't blame them for especially like work visas and things, of wanting qualified people and whatever that may be, right? But it's like the process of proving your qualifications for China is like, and it's just stupid, right? It just takes way too much time. They don't have a system worked out like they do in, say, Japan, where everything gets verified quickly and done. You're kind of dependent on to either A, do it yourself, or to B, have your company do it for you, which is like insanely crazy, because a lot of companies, either A, they don't have a person that can do all your visa work for you, or perhaps they have to hire a company to do it for you, So the visa situation in China is just like every year you're like, here we go again, my work visa. And it really, it's insanity, right? Like you realize that every year you have to go through it again. Even if you've been married to a Chinese woman, you have Chinese kids or whatever, it's just a never ending battle of visa, then being screwed repeatedly from your job, right? Because they've got you by the balls. The other thing to talk about is like there's no real future for a foreigner in China, and I know I'm gonna hurt some feelings with this one, and people are gonna get pissed at me. But to me, like teaching English is not really a career, and I know that's gonna make people mad, but I've never seen like English teaching in China as a career. I've just never seen it as something that like you should be doing long term. I feel like maybe it's a good thing once you graduate and you do it for a few years and you get some exploring done and things like that. But it never seems like a career to me. And I know for some people they've made it a career, but it just seems like a really low goal in life, you know? And again, I know that's going to hurt some feelings and people are going to get mad and they're going to take a dump on me and be like, what about you? You know, but it's just never seemed like, you know, a very good career. It's just never seemed like something that is a goal. You know what I mean? So I think that's the thing, is that there's no future in that sense. And here's the other thing about China is there's no real benefits. I know it sounds kind of selfish. You don't really go to a country because of the benefits, so you shouldn't, right? But let's be honest, you do. People go to America because America is a great country. There's a lot of freedoms, right? You have an opportunity to make more money, right? That's why so many people are dying to climb over that fence, right? That's why Cubans are like building boats from like doors and floating across the ocean to get to Miami, right? Or whatever, you know? And people aren't doing that to get to China, right? Like no one's like climbing over, maybe some North Koreans, but no one's like climbing over that fence to break into China. No one is like determined to break into China, right? No one is they're not putting themselves in a cannon and shooting themselves into China. They're just not doing it. Okay. And that's because there's no real benefits, right? Like there's some countries you go there and like they pay for like your entertainment. They'll give you like 50% off entertainment in the countries, or something off of your flights, or I don't know, discounts on your utilities and things like that. And you know, stuff like that. When you don't get that, there better be something else in it for you, like opportunity, right? Opportunity to make a lot of money, opportunity to better yourself or something. And there's no real opportunity for you in China, right? And unless you're just from a country that's already, unfortunately, really low. Maybe if you are from somewhere in Africa or perhaps Pakistan or something, then sure, perhaps, you know, China offers you, you know, some opportunity. But if you're from, you know, America or Canada or the UK or you know, even other countries in Asia like Japan, if you're from Japan or you know, South Korea, it's kind of like, why would you go to China, right? Like you're kind of taking a step down, to be honest with you. There's no real benefit to go to China. And I just kind of sat around and I was thinking like, what am I doing here? Like, why am I here? China offers me no real opportunity. There's so many, you know, hassles of things and whatever, right? There's just so many places that I can think of that I would rather be, right? And I think that that's the funny thing is like even people from Taiwan are like, screw that, we don't want to be part of China again, you know? Like even Taiwanese people are like, nah, like we're Taiwan, leave us alone. Like they don't want to be a part of that because they've come to realize that the life in Taiwan is better than China, right? They don't want to go and become China again. There's just so many places that it's like, if you're from there, it's just better to be there than it is to go, to China. It's kind of different if you go from, say, America to Japan, because it's a different culture, and it's interesting, but the standard is still really high, so it's different. Like, could you imagine being, like, say, American, and then, I don't know, going to Nairobi or something? Like, sure, it's going to be some different culture, it's going to be great, but your standard of living is going to fall dramatically, right? So the other reason, one of the main reasons that I left China was because I want children, right? And the life for children in China it's quite rough, actually. The schooling situation is very rough for kids in China, and I don't wish that on any of my children. I don't have children, but if I did, I wouldn't want that for them. And that was one of the main reasons that I left China, was because I realized that not only did I not really have a future in China, but neither would my children. You know what I mean? My children wouldn't have a super amazing future. They would have a rough time in school because of how difficult the schooling is, and so many other reasons. And as an American, I feel like our holidays are just so much cooler than Chinese holidays. And perhaps that sounds a little selfish, but Halloween is coming up, and Halloween is so much more fun than a moon cake. I'm sorry, those moon cakes, they suck, man. They suck. The first moon cake I ever had was like this pork moon cake, and I remember just like, it was like the most disgusting thing I've ever had. And I've had like 3,000 different flavors of moon cake, and there was only like one that was decent, So I remember like watching videos, and this was like last Halloween, of kids like carving pumpkins and rolling pumpkins downhill, and pumpkin racing and all that weird garbage maybe that only Americans would know about, of course. And I just remember thinking, I was like, man, I hope my kids, I want to have kids that get to experience something like this, And then people are like, well, China has the Dragon Boat Festival. And I'm like, yeah, that's okay, I guess. You're in a boat and yeah, okay. So just knowing that I wanted to have children, right, and that I wanted them to have a good education, because let's be honest, like the education system in China sucks, not just because it's hard, but because even universities there like pretty much suck, right? So I really never wanted my children to be stuck into that situation. So knowing that I would have children, I wanted them to experience the freedom. I wanted them to experience the in my opinion, better holidays and better school life and things of America, as opposed to the situation in China, and for me, I for children, right, you realize that sometimes you have to make decisions like that for the betterment of your future and the betterment of your future children, and whatever it may be, right? It's like starting a college fund for your children. You realize that it's something you should do, The last thing I think is kind of an all-arounder, just the standard of living. That's kind of another thing, is, and that's a very, really wide topic that could be talked about in itself for over an hour. But just the standard of living, of knowing that once you have children, you have to give them a vaccine or something in China, or once you have children, is the baby milk powder going to be any good, or is the food that you feed them going to be good, or whatever, right? It's just so scary. It's just so scary to not know about that type of stuff in China because it happens so often. And even the water, like you look at the water situation, the food and water situation in China, and you realize that when the standard of food and water is even lower, um, it's too much. Like when you're losing standard of food and water, and as a fat guy, like obviously food is important to me, right? The other thing is healthcare, right? Hospitals in China suck. I've been to them before. It sucks. I hate to say it, but it sucks. Like everyone in America right now, and this is another debate, but they want like free healthcare and they want socialized healthcare. And what I see in China is like not impressive. It's not it's not, you know what I mean? It's not that impressive. I'm not impressed. So it's just, I don't want my children or even myself. I don't want to live through that. If I have to go to the hospital again and have to go through that, and experience that. And the other thing is cleanliness, right? That's another thing that you kind of notice in China. Like I said, you go through that honeymoon phase and you're like, oh, all the beautiful buildings and waterfalls. And then like once you, they turn that waterfall off one time and you see behind the waterfall and you realize that it's all like dirty and shit. And you're like, oh, so that's what it looks like behind that waterfall. Because again, China is very beautiful, like on the surface, right? Until you start to like scratch away at that surface and you start to learn about China and then you start to understand China and then you realize that everything is not as they've always seemed, right? So it's just that thing where it's just not as clean. And I think for me, as a way to explain it was where I lived in Guangzhou was like very nice. Like I lived in literally the nicest part of Guangzhou, the nicest, one of the nicest neighborhoods in the city, actually. And when I went to Japan, like I had forgotten like how nice and clean Japan was. And I was in Osaka and I was like, holy shit, like it's so clean. And even my wife was like, whoa, it's so clean. And we're like, yeah, it's amazing. And over time, like you kind of forget those things, right? Because, Chinese people will tell you, oh, China is so clean. And, like the street's clean, like they clean the street and they always have someone like sweeping the street. But like if you walk up to like a plant or something and then you like lift a little limb, there's like cigarette butts and like disgusting shit. You're like, what is this? There's like all kinds of garbage and crap that like people have grown in there or put in there, and it's just like, it's like, huh, what's in there? And then you go to somewhere like Japan and you're like, holy shit, like it's clean for real. Like it's clean for real in Japan, and that's the other thing is America has this really cool thing about it where it's clean in the right places and it's dirty in the right places. And I know that sounds really selfish and that's hard to explain, but there are some places where it's like, there are some places that like you need a little grit, you need a little dirt on it, because certain cities, like New York or say Chicago or whatever, right? There's still some old neighborhoods in some of these places, and it's gritty, right? Whereas if the grittiness in America has been preserved really well, the grittiness in China is like too gritty. You know what I mean? You're like, damn, when are they going to renovate? Just you have like churches and things in America and you're like, man, that place is beautiful. And then you realize how old it is and you're like, man. You know, in China, a lot of times, like you see a temple or something, and you're like, man, this thing must be like 150 years old. They're like, no, it's 20 years old. You're like, what? It's only 20 years old. You know, because they didn't maintenance. They didn't do any maintenance. They didn't take care of it, right? So it's kind of like certain things, yeah, should be super clean, and certain things, you know, should be preserved and kept in their whatever. You know, what do they call that whenever you have you put those older things in your house? You know, they're not antique, but they're like you know, they look cool because they're older, right? Like China hasn't gained that concept yet of sometimes it's nice to have some older things that have just been renovated, you know. And I think that that's just yet another reason. Again, there's so many reasons why I left China, and people get mad. They're like, well, why did you leave China? You know, and it's like, well, man, there's a lot of reasons, you know. And in the end, when I sat there and I created my Venn diagram, my pros, my cons, and sames, I realized that on the China con side, there were just so many more. And there were definitely some great things about being in China, don't get me wrong. It's just it was very lopsided. So yeah, that's pretty much why I left China. Let me read some comments here. We're 31 minutes in. Let me read some comments. I'll have to scroll back up to the top. So if I haven't, you know, if you commented 30 minutes ago, I'm sorry. You know, infant, terrible. I enjoyed living in Asia. Depends on the situation of person, honestly. Yeah, it does, right? But living in Asia is such a big place, right? Like I think if you live in Japan for 10 years, it's way different than living in China for 10 years. It's not even comparable. I lived in Japan for a short time, not long enough to like brag to my friends about, but living in Japan, like I could live in Japan now if I could live there long term and stay, and I would be perfectly happy, you know. Thailand. So you were in Thailand. Yeah, I think Thailand is very livable, especially for older guys, especially if you're like Guelo 60 sexpat age, then I think you know, then I think yeah. The Allen 501, love you, Corey. Yeah, dude, love you too, man. I want to thank everyone for coming, for participating, for talking, for commenting, for you know, and all the people that will hopefully watch this stream in the future, right after it's uploaded. Let's see. I'll never forget the smell. It burns a hole in the back of your brain. It's the smell of death. What the? Let's see. The stupid low fan 60 is saying shit on his video about you. You know, I love the video you did on him. Very funny. Yeah, I don't care. I think that's great. I think that's great that people want to make videos about me. It just shows like how relevant I am in the community, right? My channel is so small. Like I only have like 3,500 subs, and there's all these people talking about me with larger channels, right? See, because it's very difficult to insert yourself in a conversation, right? It's very difficult to do that, right? And to actually be meaningful and be a part of the conversation. And when you can do that with such a small channel, it means something, you know, very important, because there's a lot of people that make videos about me that have really small channels that I don't know they exist. I've never heard of them. And people are like, hey, you know, this guy made a video about you, you know. That's what happened with that like Patrick Freeman guy or whatever. And I'm like, I don't know who he is. I don't care. There's just a lot of people that make videos, and that tells you that you're successful. If nobody's making a video about you, then nobody knows who you are, right? Nobody cares. So vote for the Republicans, vote for the Trump administration, people. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to get into the American politics side, but yeah, cool, right? Hello from Japan. Yeah, Japan. Where are you at in Japan, man? I don't know if you said it later on. Japan for me, I really love Japan. I really liked Tokyo. I think you have to say that you like Tokyo, but I really liked Osaka. You know, Osaka was wonderful for me. I thought it was better than Tokyo. I really loved it there. I thought it was a great city. People were awesome. It had that like small town, big city feeling. It's weird. It's a good sized city, but it's like being in a smaller town almost. I don't know how to explain it. Let's see. If you are smart, marry a daughter of a powerful family in China and become a white knight. That's the thing is even if you become a shill and you become one of these white knight people or whatever, right? It still sucks. You know what I mean? It still sucks because why do all the super rich Chinese people, why do they leave China? Why do they try to like take their money and run? Because, like no matter how rich you are, no matter how much, things you can buy, if you don't have any freedom, it's just, it's not enjoyable. You can't enjoy it. Right. I hate mooncake. Yeah, man. Mooncake is like, I'm sorry. I've tried a lot of different mooncake. It just, it never did anything for me. And like I said, I've had one or two kinds that were actually like pretty good. Well, I don't want to say they were pretty good. I want to say they were edible. They were edible. I had one that was like ice cream, and it's kind of like, how do you mess up ice cream? And I had another one. It's red bean, and they've added a lot of sugar and stuff to it, and it's like it's right. It's edible, but like I'm definitely not. If there's like a Snickers bar and a mooncake, like I'm sorry, Snickers bar, like you're going down. I'm gonna eat you. I noticed G60 ended his last rant talking about birds. Maybe he's got the what? Okay, the bird man. He'll probably make another park video soon or something. I don't know. He's got like 12 park videos now because he got popular. He gained a lot of traction off of that one park video. So now he just makes park videos all the time because he thinks like that people cared about him being in the park. He doesn't understand that like the only reason that park video did well was because some like pro CCP radio station mentioned his video, and gave him a good push. Like no one gives a shit about some old white dude walking around in the park stalking Chinese women. Like nobody cares about that. Nobody thinks that's cool. Tim Cooper says, I lived in Japan for 10 years before moving to Beijing. Almost all foreigners in China ask me why I give up Japan for Beijing. They seem to think you are, dude. Like you're definitely settling for less. Like if you did, like, I hope you did it for love. I hope you did it for like I don't know. It would have to be love. I don't know. Like, I'm sorry. Japan is it's just way better, man. Than China. And I know like Chinese people are going to be like really raged at me and be mad, but for me, Japan was just a lot better than China. And I did the same thing. Like I went in reverse too. Like I went to Japan way before I ever went to China. And somehow I ended up living in China for so long. I don't understand how it happened, actually. I don't know. G60 will always be known as Darth Dildo 60. Okay. Darth Dildo. Okay. What happens to Guelo 60? Who knows? I don't know why he got known as Darth Dildo. I don't know if I want to know. All jokes aside, enjoying the stream. Yeah, no, thank you guys. Especially you, Mr. Infant Terrible, you're always here. You guys always come and watch the stream, and I appreciate that. Let's see. Trump needs to win, otherwise there would be Colville, Civil War. Colville, there's gonna be some Colville. Yeah. Again, no comment. Amazing how China managed to lose about 20 years of good faith and friends in less than a year. Yeah, I mean, there's that thing where like America's always hoped that China would move in the other direction, and it kind of did for a while, and then it didn't. The issue is that the communist system doesn't work well with a free market system. The rest of the systems in the world, most of the systems, 99% of the systems don't work with communism. So you have this thing where it's like, I'm sorry, but you're just not cool, right? You don't gel with everybody else. We have different expectations. We have morals and standards. And when you look at it, and of course it's hard to compare because like even Vietnam is so small compared to China, but you look at the political situation in Vietnam and compare it to China, and it's like, Sure, Vietnam has poverty, no doubt. They definitely have poverty there, and they definitely have issues. But their people are so much more friendly on average, and it's just a much better place to live for foreigners, even though it's tiny. Even though it's so poor compared to China. Um, it's there's more. There's just more, to a country than money and things like that. You should see my bathroom. Hopefully it's a nice bathroom. Tim Cooper. Let's see. Holy crap! My chat just like jumped down. I worked in a brand new office building in Beijing, also houses in Bulgaria hotel, and buildings started crumbling within weeks of opening. Yeah, one of the buildings that I had a friend lived in was very, very wealthy guy, very cool guy, very cool job. I don't want to go too much into detail because I wanted to make a video about him, but he told me I couldn't. So. But either way, he moved into some new apartments, new housing in China. And it was strange because it was brand new, but the quality was like the same as my apartment. And I'm like, why is it the same? Like, mine's pretty new, but when you've got like 8 or 9 years on me, you should be much nicer. It just wasn't, besides the location, like it wasn't nicer than what I had, so I thought it was really strange that like you could have a brand new building that the quality looked used. I'm like, how is it brand new but used? Like, I don't know. Chinese people would say that the country is too big to guarantee every corner is clean. That's true. It is too big to guarantee that every corner is clean, but you know what I mean? It's like the countryside in America is far more developed than the countryside in China, and the countryside in many countries is far more developed than in China. It's just, development is not only based upon cleanliness and money and wealth. It's also about social standards and the way people treat each other and people's actions and things, so it's not it's not necessarily about physical things. A lot of times it can be mental or just social aspects, of please and thank you and hello, how are you doing, and those types of things, and not pushing people out of the way when you get on the bus, opening the door for a stranger. When someone drops their pen, you pick it up for them, right? Like those are things in America that we have learned, from a long cultured history. And people want to say, well, America's a new country. You guys don't have any culture in America. Like that's bullshit. You look at the situation, and our people come from all over the world. White people specifically come from countries that are much older, right? Like my family is from the UK. Years and years ago, my family is traced back to the UK, and the UK is a very old place too, just like China, right? And so those mannerisms and things have been picked up because based upon our religions and our stabilities and social aspects of life. So it's not necessarily always about physical cleanliness and infrastructure. A lot of it has to do with just social things in China between people and things like that also. So maybe that's something that I didn't make very clear when I was speaking also is I remember this time where an old woman like at the bus station like pushed me out of the way, and she like put not her passport, her Chinese ID into the window. And I'm like, no, I was here first, and she like curses at me. And I'm like, no, I was here first, and she pushes my hand. Well, she didn't push my hand. She like smacked my hand. And I'm like, bitch, like you lucky this is China, like where I'm from, you'd get like, whatever. I'd put you in a chokehold, granny. I'd beat the crap out of you, grandma. And so I like take her ID and I slide it on down. I'm like, and I'm like, Talnima, which is F your mom, basically. And it's just like rude and disrespectful. And yeah, so maybe people will be like, you pick on old people, but I'm like, hey, if you need some help or you need in front of me, at least be respectful. Don't like hit my hand and be like, out of the way, Lawai, like parts of New Jersey, it said how much of Chinese history is plowed under. Yeah, that's the thing. Like in America, there's a lot of places that are older that have been preserved that are so cool, right? And that's what makes them cool, is because they've been preserved over the time. And you would expect that from China, but you realize that like communism has destroyed like their culture and history. It's just like in Guangzhou, there's Beijing Lu, which is Beijing Road in Guangzhou, China, right? It's not in Beijing, it's in Guangzhou, southern China. And it's a road, and like you get there and they've preserved like this little square. It's like the size of your table, and you're like, that's it? And there's like a plaque there, and it's like, this is the oldest road in Guangzhou. And you're like, that's it? This little bitty road? Like, it's just so like, I don't know. You just expect more from a country where the people are always like, we've got 6,000 years of culture. And it's like, well, show it to me then, damn it. I want to see it. Show me your 6,000 years of culture. And then they're like, and they pull up some little plaque, and you're like, sorry. Like, I want to see this preserved culture. And then you go to somewhere like Japan, and they're like, this is a 3,000-year-old temple. And you're like, holy cow, like, this is incredible. And they've just preserved it better, I would be worried that if you ever cross the government, they can lock you up without any real recourse. That's another thing, right? That's another reason I left China, was because I don't want to be thrown in jail accidentally, I think like that's something that is very realistic. And I didn't say that like at the beginning of this stream, but that's true. Like if something bad ever happens between countries, like all these people that think that because they said good things about China, you're still going to be put on the shit list, bro. You're still going to get prisoned, They're still going to throw you in the gulag. Like, they don't care that if you were like, China's great, China's wonderful, they're going to close the gate on you, They don't care, The shows never talk about anything but China versus America or the West, but quickly go back to anti-America political rants on American results. Yeah, it's of course, And it's funny when they're not even from America. And they're like, America sucks. I hate America. The UK sucks. And it's like, dude, you're from like South Africa, or you're from like, you know what I mean? It's like you're from Canada, Why aren't you actively making comparisons between China and your own country? It's because no one cares about South Africa. No one cares about Canada. No one cares about a lot of these other places, right? The Chinese government wants to push that propaganda against, places like America. And the only reason that China even started mentioning Canada in the beginning was because of the Meng Wanzhou thing, right? So it was like, Canada wasn't on the naughty list until they took the Huawei princess, So it's like China doesn't really care about Canada, not really, Plus, Canada's, good country, right? Let's see, Sex Pest 60. You guys really hate Guelo 60. Like, admittedly, I don't like him either. But my gosh, you guys are rough. You guys are rough on him. I hear the best vids of you are made on bunk beds. Yeah, I still never figured that out. I'm like, dude, why did he film that video on his bunk bed? Like, that's so creepy. That's like Michael Jackson level type shit, Like, if you're gonna make a video about me, like, don't do it in a bunk bed, Like, it's so creepy. I don't know what that was all about. I think it's funny that people even bring it up still, the bunk bed. It's true. So weird. G60, always get free healthcare in Canada. Right. That's another thing. Like, I was really put off by that. And in the beginning, I wasn't. I had a Canadian friend that came to me and was like, hey, I don't like that Guelo 60, whenever, he talks bad about China or bad about Canada. Oh, excuse me, guys. Excuse me, viewers. And then all of a sudden, they said whenever he needs health care for him and his wife, he returns to Canada. And I'm like, man, that's true. It's true, right? I would hate if someone was like, screw America, and then they like return to America for our health care, right? Because it's like you're taking a dump on our country, and then because you realize that it's better, you come back here and you use its services. And especially so in Canada, where healthcare is primarily paid for by tax dollars, right? Where they have a socialized system of healthcare that's paid for, right? It literally means that you're essentially stealing at that point, because you're you know what I mean? Like, as an example, most Americans don't mind paying taxes for certain things. And if that tax is to help the dying, most Americans will be like, okay, we'll help pay for the dying. But if you were like, screw you, America, screw you, and then like you started dying in the street, there's a lot of people that would be like, nah, forget that guy. Nah, we don't care about him anymore. And that's kind of how a few of my Canadian friends actually felt about Guelo 60. Was they were like, well, he takes a dump on Canada so much, and then he wants to use our tax dollars to whatever. To help his wife recover from cancer, and then return back to China only to talk shit about Canada again. And as a disclaimer, I don't blame him for searching out the best healthcare possible. I really don't. I don't blame him for that, because my mom passed away from cancer, and cancer is the worst disease. I watched my mother waste away and die. Okay. It's the worst disease I've ever seen. So I don't blame him for that. But I do blame him for taking a dump on Canada and then using its healthcare system. So, Ahmed Razi says, too fat. This guy's too fat and ugly. What a hugely fat, round face. His face is like a pumpkin. Are you gay? Like, I'm just wondering if you're gay. If you're gay, that's okay. My channel, we don't care about gay people. You can be gay. That's okay. I just think that it's really strange that you're like, you care about me being fat and you care about my physical appearance. It's a little strange. I'm sorry, Ahmed. Sorry, but I'm taken. Happily married, bro. You're going to have to move on. Let's see. He's Alfred Hitchcock. Don't disturb the young artist. I agree. Wife was a PhD student at Tsinghua, so it was for love. We got out within a year of Hong Kong, but moving back to Tokyo next month. I see. Did you know that Tsinghua even was actually started with the help of America? China owed us some money, and we actually told them to keep it, and we just told them to send us some really smart students every so often. So that's another thing. Even Tsinghua has some help from America, but Chinese people don't ever want to tell you that. Actually, can't stand that stupid low fan 60 is a disgusting. He's a disgusting beep, 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 beep. Okay, Ty Dillinger. Yes, that's yeah. Japan's economy is stagnant, to be honest. Great place to live, though, and wanted to change myself and improve my Mandarin. Great experience, but hopped on the first offer out there. Here's the thing. A lot of people say that about like America and Japan. They say, oh, well, Japan is stagnant. And it's like, is Japan stagnant, or has Japan just reached a point where, because its general population are happy with how the country is and how it's going, they've decided to stay there? You know what I mean? I wouldn't necessarily say that Japan is stagnant. I mean, what would the opposite of that be? The growth, more population? Like, do you think they want more population on that island? More. What do they want, right? So I don't really necessarily think that Japan is stagnant as much as I think people put this idea and emphasis out there that change is always good, right? And change is not always good. And I'm saying this as a in all aspects of life. There's this thing where like people that are really progressive, right? They say, well, we must always change. And it's like, there's a lot of good things, right? I can't remember this guy, but he said, I can't remember his name, but he said that in America, basically there were progressives to try and to push things further. And then there were conservatives to remind the progressive about how good some of the things in the past were, right? So when you say, oh, well, Japan is stagnant. Well, stagnant Japan in many ways is much better than China, right? Sure, maybe China has some wonderful technology and things, but would you give up your freedoms for technology? So would you give up your freedoms that Japan has for the technology? And I would say no, you know. So yeah. Let's see, scrolling down. Holy shit, there's a lot of comments. My gosh, why are there so many comments this stream? I guess that's what happens when you talk for 30 minutes and you don't answer the. Is China capitalist? No, China's not capitalist. China's communist. They do this thing where they try to make it sound like, oh, China's not communist, they're capitalist. Oh, China's not communist, they're socialist. Bullshit. China's communist government is over the capitalism, it's over the people, it's over the companies, it's over the religion, it's over everything. So it's a communist country. And anyone that tells you any different is lying to you to make it sound better than it really is. Do they use capitalism? Sure, they have some capitalism. They've used it, you know. But even right now, recently in China, they've been talking about buying back private ownership of businesses and things. So is China capitalist? No, it is not. That's just a wolf in sheep's clothing, actually. China's grimy because no one cares. Damn, that's rough, bro. Most countries were willing to look the other way on China until they burned everyone when COVID hit hard. Yeah, here's the thing. Like, China has to be held accountable for COVID. You know, you can try to blame, and this is another, like, people are going to get all, like, pissy and hate me. You know, you can try to blame Trump, and that's okay. If you want to blame Trump, go right ahead. You know, I'm not going to stop you. But here's the thing. It still originated in China, okay? And there have been so many diseases and things that have came from China and continue to come from China for a reason. Now, in China, the government is so insanely powerful, right? Because they control essentially the people's thinking, because they control the media. They control the people's actions, right? And so the thing is that these viruses and these things continue to happen in China directly because of the way that their government does things. When the government doesn't control, you know, food safety standards and drug standards and these types of things, then these types of things are willing to happen, right? And there's no one to blame except the government, because the government's the ones in charge, right? If you want to say that, like, food quality in America sucks, go right ahead, but you can't blame me. You have to blame, like, the FDA, because, like, it's their job to oversight those types of things, right? And see, that's the difference between, like, America and China, is that we've put a lot of other organizations and groups and things in place to oversee certain situations in America. And a lot of times those organizations in China either don't work or are insanely corrupt. And when something goes wrong, no one wants to complain and tell their boss, because then it means less money, it means less corruption, it means less whatever, right? And so it gets hid and covered up, and the truth either A, comes out later, or B, like, you know, it just becomes such a huge problem and people die, right? And the situation has happened many times in China, like with the vaccine scandals and the baby milk scandals. And the difference is this time it's happened with a virus that just has happened to affect the entire world and not just China. It's literally the same thing that has happened in China over and over and over again. But again, this time with a virus. So nobody cared about China until they joined the WTO and big companies could get cheap shit made. Yep. I love you ripping and tearing apart all the pro-CCP pills. They're pro-CCP shills. They're so blatantly shilling for them. Yeah, you know, and I think that's the thing. I always tell people, and it's going to take me forever to get caught up on comments, but I always tell people the same thing. Like, America's not hiring me to shill for them. You know, they're not going to hire some random dude to go out there and say good things about America, right? If your country's really good, You don't got to pay people to say good things about your country. People are going to automatically say good things about your country. If you make a good phone or a good drink or have a good restaurant with good food, people are going to share that information automatically. You don't got to pay anybody. You don't got to set it up. You know what I mean? It just happens automatically. That's just the way that it is. And the fact that like you have a country, a government that is hiring a bunch of white dudes on YouTube to say good things about their country, it's like, how pathetic are you? You know, come on now. Let's see. Exploration Taiwan. Haley says, have you been fired yet? What a story. What a story. Not going into that one. I studied abroad in Japan in Shiga, so I spent a lot of time in Osaka. I gotta agree, Osaka is my favorite place in Japan, despite having so many friends from Kanto region. Yeah, man, Osaka was awesome. I could live there, in like I could stay there forever. It's such an awesome place. Exploration Taiwan says, I'm fine, bunch of BS. Yeah, man. Here's the thing, like for those that don't know, like Exploration Taiwan, I know who he is. He knows who I am. He watches my channel. He comments. But he was attacked. Like people attacked him just for like commenting on my videos. And people like went after him and like tried to get him fired from his job, or at least they claim they did, right? And he knows like nothing about me. He's just another guy on the internet that has seen my videos before. And they like attacked him, and it was so awkward. I'm like, why are they going after this guy? Like, it makes no sense. I don't know. There's this whole thing about Chinese paying African kids, adults to sing, dance for birthday greetings or something. Yeah, I know. I talked about that in the beginning of the stream. Like I said, for people that want to see about that, you can check out like Loser Lao I's channel. His name is not Loser Lao. It's Black and Abroad in Asia now. Randy Flagg. He's a cool guy. He's pretty gritty too, actually, like me. He's not really afraid to say anything, and he's just like me in that way. If he wants to lay some smack down and talk some shite, right? He definitely will. So if you like my channel, you might like his. And if you're African American or you know what I mean, whatever that situation may be, check him out, because he's African American from I believe New York, Brooklyn, and lives in China and has children there. So that's an experience that I could never give. I'm not African American. I don't have kids in China, so that's an interesting perspective from him. So why don't you use my suggestions for Shill Wednesday this week? Says Slavic Science. Maybe some Shill Wednesdays, I might be putting them on hold and doing a few other videos for a while. The Shill Wednesdays, the Shills they haven't just been doing anything entertaining recently. Black and brown people generally have the same respect as white people. Unfortunately, there are just many more one-parent home that makes it harder. Okay. Just because Japan's growth has stagnated a little, the yen is still very powerful and the quality of life is still very high. High as GDP doesn't always equal quality of life. It's in Taiwan. The 6,000 years of culture. Yeah, the 6,000 years of culture is in Taiwan, right? It's like all that culture and stuff that you think you're going to find in China is actually found elsewhere in Asia. I haven't been to Taiwan a lot, but I've been there before. And I've been to Japan, and I've been to Thailand, and I've been to Indonesia, and Vietnam and these places. And I've always seen more culture in all of these countries than I have in China. I know that sounds horrible. Let's see. Oh God, Lawrence Force. Long live Guelo 60, or at least for another 5 to 10 years, right? I remember Zach P said that in a video and caught some backlash for it. Many of the old IU women in China have the most disgusting behavior you could ever imagine, but they get away with it due to this for older people. Yeah, it's true. The IUs are like disgusting. These old women that like sing and dance in the street until like 11 o'clock at night and make noise and wake up in the morning and dance. I'm just like, oh, why are you doing this to me at 4:30 in the morning? Like, why do you have to dance with your loudspeaker turned up to like 57 on the scale of 60, and it's like distorting and just this horrible music. My gosh, why Guelo 60 is so popular? Guelo 60 shadow banned me, presumably because he didn't like my commentary on the videos. Yeah, here's the thing. Like, I shadow ban Wu Maos. I shadow ban those people that just come to my channel and they're like, nah, screw you, nah, because they're worthless, right? There's no reason to have discussion. Now, if someone comes to my channel and they want to have a discussion as to why they have an opinion based upon something, that's completely different. I definitely respect that. Everyone is valued to their opinion. Let's see. Zach P says Gaylord 69. Does Guelo know that you're talking about him, Zach? He's going to make you like do an apology video if you're not careful. We don't want to see another apology video. Zach P is here. Not worried about Dumbbell being bitter. Oh man, I know, Zach. Like, you got attacked by Daniel, man. He went after you, bro. He went after you, man. Tony Stark. I think maybe Haley has the hots for Zach P. She's calling him Tony Stark. Is that what's happening here? Calling him Tony Stark. Is that what's happening here? Lama 41. Someone threatened to sue you in China. Is that actually possible in China, or is it extremely difficult for defamation? No, actually, that was the funny part. Daniel Dumbrell said that he contacted the courts or something in China and that he was going to sue me. The funny part about that is that I actually know an attorney, a foreigner that is an attorney in China. And I contacted him to see if there was any way that they could search to see if that was possible, that this person was trying to sue me. And they said, sure. He's a foreigner that works at a firm, and they have partnership with a Chinese firm also. And he said, no, there has been nothing that they could see that has been filed or anything like that under my passport information or anything. So just a big lie. Someone throwing their dick around saying, oh, I'm going to shoot you. This is bullshit, right? And I think that's so silly anyways. Why would you want to sue someone in America in China? Like, what are you doing? Like, don't embarrass yourself. The judicial system in China is like such a joke. Haley Rule. Hey, regular sized girl. No comments. How about North America before the immigrants came? There is 15 or 20,000 years of history right there. Their legacy exists even with the atrocities of the past. Yeah. Let's see. If China is communist, then is it a successful communist country? Yeah, China has made some success, right? It's definitely made some success over the years. You'd have to be crazy to not deny that China has made some success, but it hasn't made success because of communist rule. It's made success because it's embraced capitalism. It's embraced free markets in certain situations. It's embraced, a lot of things that it's seen work and be successful in other countries and other places around the world. There's no secret that how capitalism works. There's no secret about how socialism in certain circumstances can work. So when you just limit yourself to communism, you are really giving yourself a really shitty end of the deal here, And so they've realized that they can use these other systems in certain ways, but the problem is that they're still communist, right? They still have that communist idea of communism over everything, and capitalism and communism it's not going to gel. It doesn't work together. Let's make China Mongolian again. Yeah, they never talk about that either, how like the Han people like took all that land from Mongolians. It's kind of like how the Americans did to the Native Americans, to the white people did to the Native Americans in America, and to the Mexicans, right? That's what Thanksgiving is about, how we thanked them for food and then we killed them, right? So sort of a horrible thing, but not my fault. Way before I was born, don't blame me, Zach P, I'm blaming the the Tories in the UK, I know they're getting wet over the fact that it originated in China, but the way the UK government handled it was not correct. End of story. Yeah, right, Zach P. Like, dude, you probably can't even like pee, stand up and pee without getting it on the floor. If you think that like you could have, done better by running an entire country and stopped people from getting sick, like you're out of your mind. It's not easy when you have a large country with a large population, and especially when you have free people in your country, right, that are not just going to follow the rules. See, that's the thing, is that like a lot of people in say America have freedom, right, and they don't want to follow the rule of wearing a mask, so they don't, right? Whereas if a lot of people in say Taiwan or say Japan, it's already like really developed into their culture to wear a mask anyways. So if you think that like you're going to go to a bunch of Americans and be like, you wear a mask, we force you to, like, it's just not going to happen. You're not going to force people to wear a mask. You can't mandate and force people to wear a mask in America. It's not going to happen. Sorry, like that's the truth. I got my leg chopped off in the USA and spent 2 months in the hospital. No insurance. They saved my leg and put me on the road to getting insurance and recovery. Do I dare ask? Chinese seem to forget that they were calling COVID the American virus with its football game story long before it was Kung Flu. I thought it was funny how, geez, there's so many comments. Like, am I catching up? Yes. Okay. I think it's funny how like Xinhua News was calling it the Wuhan virus, and all these places were calling it the China virus, Wuhan virus. And then like when Donald Trump started doing it, then China changed its mind. They were like, no, it's not the Wuhan virus. It's COVID-19. It's like, okay. Yeah. Okay. Whatever. A good place to launder money is Canada. How do you know that? Like, why would you say that? How do you know? Are you saying from experience? I don't know. Imagine a Chinese national on YouTube praising Canada and bashing China. I know, right? Like, and not just imagine like a Chinese national on YouTube praising Canada, but imagine like Canada, like putting them on television, on like Canadian television news, and being like, hey, this Chinese guy on the internet loves Canada and hates China. Like, they would never do that. It would be way too embarrassing, It wasn't a bunk bed. He was in a men's shelter. Okay. Taiwan. Randy is cool as F. Okay. Exactly. G60 stealing, if not all the hate, he should get a Cambodian passport. Drop his Cambodian passport. Not many people are going to be dropping their Canadian passport to pick up a Cambodian one, huh? That whole knife thing he did was a bit much, so I can't really blame him at the same time. Listen, here's the thing. Here's something to understand, is that the Wu Maos and these people, they attack our families. They go after our families' names. They go after our personal life, And like I said, they talked about my mother, how she died, and how they were happy that my mom died. They were talking about like my father and things like that. And, these people were trying to get, Exploration Taiwan to, for him to lose his job, and for Zach P, exposing his wife's name and all this stuff, right? Like, they're coming after you personally. So it's like, if you say that you're defending yourself personally, then it's to go out there and say, hey, like, I'm not afraid of you, it's just whatever, right? So I think it's okay. I don't think Exploration Taiwan is crazy or psycho. I don't think he's going to go on a stabbing spree. I think he was just defending himself like any sane person would. Holy crap, there's just so many comments. Why has there never been this many comments before? Let's see. Jerry had another baby. Yeah, congratulations to Jerry. I know he doesn't watch my video, but congratulations to him. That's no hate or disrespect to Jerry about about things like that. I differentiate my opinion with Jerry, but even though he doesn't know it, I'm happy for him that he has another child, and he's very lucky. One day I hope to be a father, so I'm sure there's it's very special, right? I'm sure he's very happy right now about that. Yeah, and he said he was at the hospital for 72 hours with no sleep, no support, only had to rely on a phone app translator. Yeah, I mean, Jerry should probably learn some Chinese. Let's be honest here. Yeah. Do you think Zach should be more careful, being that he's in China? Zach P, should he be more careful? No, he's pretty on the fence. Zach never really takes any side of anything. He doesn't touch subjects that are too difficult. To be honest, like, people always said that too about me. They're like, "Oh, you never touched difficult discussions when you lived in China." Bullshit. I made a video called "China's the World's Largest Prison." I made a video about Xi Jinping when I lived in China. Like, I made some hella controversial videos. I made videos that I should have never made. I called Chinese people racist. I pointed out so many things about China that I would say are probably over the line for what you should be talking about while living in China. And nothing ever happened to me, but I think that that's pure luck. I wouldn't go around trying it. You know what I mean? I was just so fed up with China that I was done with it at that point. Yeah. I wouldn't test the waters. That's for sure. Randy's still there, so I think Zach will be okay. That's true, right? Like, Randy Flag, Loser Lawai, that dude has made some videos, man. He used to really show a lot of that real China, and he would show videos of that stuff. Randy Flag is that dude is like hardcore, right? So yeah, I'm sure he's okay. I'm sure Zach P will be okay. China Nonstop got booted out. Yeah, I like China Nonstop. I talk to him once in a while. He made the mistake of it's a very big mistake of letting people know where you work, where you live, and things like that on the internet about the Wu Mao. See, they all have this thing where they try to expose you personally and scare you away. That's what they essentially did. That's kind. Well, they didn't do that to Randy Flag, but they got him in trouble, right? And that's what they did with China Nonstop, was they got him in trouble, and that's what they talk about doing to Exploration Taiwan, and that's what they talk about doing to Zach P, and that's what they talk about doing to me and Serpent ZA and Lawa 86 and anyone that they don't like, really, or anyone that doesn't say, "Oh, I love you, China." They always want to threaten you in hopes that you'll go away. And the problem with me is that I'm way too stubborn for that. The more that people want to say that, like, I'm crazy, or the more that, like, people wanna whatever, I'm gonna come back at you tenfold. If you want to try to get rid of me for telling the truth about China, like, you're gonna have a very sad life, because I'm not gonna quit for you. I'm just gonna push harder. That's just the way that I am in that way. I'm sorry, people. I want to know more about George's story. You might have to go look at his history. Yeah, I mean, George is he's very approachable. He's like I said, he's a cool guy. He's very approachable. You can talk to him. Ha 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 ha. Just sometimes the Chinese police don't even want to issue a warrant against some Chinese rapist who raped his own. Okay. I think that perhaps there will be, I don't want to say yet, but a certain YouTuber that was threatened by Wu Mao's left the China community in a very swift fashion. And, he was a growing channel, a small channel, and he's coming back. So I'll be talking about that in a future video. and we're going to bring him back. And some people maybe will know him. His channel was small, but he was starting to do really well and make great videos. And he got scared off and attacked by the Wu Maos, and he's coming back. And you know, for those of you people maybe that you do know, I think you'll like it. So that should be coming in maybe a few days, maybe a week. We're bringing someone back to the China community that was becoming very important. So China #1, you big bad American. I agree. Yeah, Zach, watch out. You might get castrated. Yeah, right. You know Zach doesn't have nuts. Come on now. He can't. There's nothing left to castrate. Let's be honest, Zach. I'm just kidding. You know, I talk some shit about Zach, but I love Zach. I talk to Zach a lot in private. You know, it's how we show our love, I think. I don't know. I don't know what to call it. Do you watch Sexy Cyborg? I always thought she was boring. She just has really big tits. And I mean, I'm fat, so I have big tits too, so it's not that exciting to me. I'm sorry. You know, like, I don't know how else to explain it. Let's see. China is not the only Asian country. You're not missing anything. Exactly. I'm like, man, why would you go to China? There's so many great places you could go to, you know? I don't get it. What satisfaction do they get from this type of behavior, though? Do they think they're doing God's work, or should I say Xi Jinping's work? Well, you know, there's a lot of people that have moved to China that have created a life there, and they don't want to lose their life there. You know what I mean? And so they think that the only way they can stay there is by following the politics and being very positive, right? And that's part of the reason I left, was because I was tired of supporting a system that, you know, that I didn't like. So that's why I left, right? Can you link these channels like Randy Flag? I think if you just Google Black and Abroad in Asia, I believe you will find him. Sorry, I know I'm always looking over here at the second monitor. Black and Abroad in Asia. Yeah, just type in Black and Abroad in Asia, and he will come up. He's got 6.2 thousand subs. You know, 6,200 subs. And yeah. Reveal. China Nonstop was a good guy. Way too honest for the CCP's liking, though. Yeah, of course. Yeah, you know, the Wu Mao by threatening people. What do the Wu Mao think that they're going to get? Here's the thing. These people have been brainwashed by the CCP, and they think that they're somehow like defending their country by stopping people from saying negative things about it. And I'll use myself as an example in this case, and allow myself to be of scrutiny. If it's like people calling me fat, right? If I want people to stop calling me fat, then I should stop being fat, right? I shouldn't just try to, you know, create laws and things against people for calling me fat. You know, it's like if you don't want people to point out your re-education camps in Xinjiang, how about you stop building re-education camps in Xinjiang? If you want people to not talk about how you paraded a bunch of Africans down the street in Guangzhou, how about you quit parading Africans down the street in Guangzhou? You know what I mean? It's like, you know, there's a lot of validity in a lot of these accusations that are towards China. And a lot of times it's on video, you know? And so you can't deny it after the evidence has been put out there, right? You can't just deny it all the time and say it's not true when there's video, you know? So, yeah. Let's see. There's so many comments because you aren't just in it for the views. You actually read all the comments and care. Yeah, that's true, right? Like I make a little bit of money off the channel. I do, honestly. I have some supporters that go onto my Patreon and give me money. And I appreciate that. I do. I really appreciate the fact that people, do give me money. I appreciate the fact that people comment on the videos and people subscribe, because comments are like a way of paying me back. It's like you cared enough to make that discussion, so you commented back. So that's it's only the right thing to do, to thank you for commenting, to comment back. It would just be terribly disrespectful to not do so. So we are approaching the hour and 25-minute stream. Probably going to end it within the next 4 to 5 minutes and be done. So I want to start by saying thank you, everyone, for coming here. Thank you for watching. If you guys haven't checked out Twitter, Patreon, anything like that, I want to get better of posting on Twitter, but it's so hard. It's so hard. Like I said, there's going to be some more videos. I'm going to bring back a new and upcoming China YouTuber that was becoming popular, Yongguizi. But, we're going to talk to these people and see about bringing them back to the YouTube China community, and get some videos going again. And that way I have another friend, another partner to help me make some videos. And, so that's pretty much it. Wouldn't it be cool if some journalists went to the Shilin YouTubers' families, friends, and previous workplaces and asked, right? Like what if that happened in reverse, right? What if they went to some of these other peoples and were like, hey, did you know this guy? It would just be really awkward. It only works for like for the other side. I agree that the shills have been boring lately, with the exception of Daniel Dumbro. They're still doing interviews with pro-CCP apologists and Uyghur detention deniers. Yeah, I think I think that's the thing. Daniel Dumbrell has this thing where he wants to be right, even if he knows that he's wrong. And he thinks that he's somehow proving that he's right by bringing these people on and saying, hey, you're a Uyghur. Have you ever seen a re-education camp? And they're like, no, never seen one. And I'm like, that's not evidence, right? Like you can go outside, you can go to Xinjiang, and you can take a fucking lens and put it up to your eye and be like, I don't see any, still don't see one over here. Like it's not evidence that no re-education camps in Xinjiang exist, because they don't let you go there. You can't just walk in and be like, well, hello there. My name is Daniel Dumbrell, and we're going to hang out today in your re-education camp. Like it doesn't work that way. They don't let you go there. They don't let you hang out there. It's not even easy to see a prison in China, more or less a re-education camp that is being scrutinized by Western television. It's just not going to happen. It was like the same thing for the Wuhan virus. They started like, they're like, this guy is a doctor and he says that the Wuhan virus originated here. And it's like no one cares, man. No one is going to believe that. You have to back it up with science, and you have to back it up with studies that have been peer reviewed. You can't just bring some random schmuck off the street and be like, it's true because this guy said so. It's like, that dude has no credentials at all. No one knows who he is. You can't just somehow claim, like it'd be like me getting my friend Patrick, my friend Patrick is a doctor, and it would be like me bringing him over here and being like, well, Patrick says this, it's like, it doesn't work that way. One single person can't change this situation, But Yeah. With that being said, thanks for watching, guys. Check out my Patreon. Give me $5 a month. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. You don't have to give me any money. Sometimes I feel like I'm bantering people for money, and no. But follow me on Twitter. Comment on some of my other videos, and thanks for watching, guys. And I love you all so much, and I do appreciate you for watching. Thank you, and have a good day.